These are the best mods for 99 through '04 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Considering these are pretty old Jeeps, the first and most important is going to be maintenance. You want to make sure that it's all up to date, all checked off, that way you don't have any more major issues down the line. Go ahead and change the oil, check all the fluids, replace anything that might need replacing. I had to replace a few valve cover gaskets, spark plugs, pretty basic stuff like that. Make sure it's all in order before you get into the modifications. Now, number one on the list after you get all your maintenance done is going to be a nice sturdy front bumper with a winch. A lot of people say you need a Warn winch or you need their favorite kind of winch. I'm going to tell you any kind of winch is better than no winch. So just whatever one you guys can afford, whichever one you want, toss it on the Jeep and you'll be glad you did. Next on the list is a lift kit. Now, I recommend buying something quality. I would stay away from rough country. Now, if you do go rough country, get ready to replace the joints and the shocks. Besides that though, if you plan on doing that, it's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as what everybody makes it out to be. However, from my experience, the best lift kit that I have ran so far is the Iron Rock Offroad 6.5-inch Rocklink Pro Kit, but it is a bit pricey, so it might not work for everybody. I also have a Grand Cherokee on a $750 lift kit, so pretty cheap altogether, and I'll link both those videos of those off-roading down below. That way you guys can check it out, see how they compare, and see which one fits your needs best. Honestly, that's what it's all about. It's not about the most expensive. Unless you plan on going rock crawling, then kind of the most expensive is usually the best in this situation, but it's all up to you. Just so you guys can get kind of like a size idea, this is the Iron Rock Offroad 6.5-inch Rocklink Pro Kit on 35-inch tires. Sits pretty good. I found that this is the best size tire for this lift size on stock axles just because you won't break them too often. However, it's still a very capable rig. Surprisingly, this Jeep actually keeps up with the Wrangler very, very well. Next up is tires. You basically have two options on these Jeeps, all-terrain tires or mud-terrain tires. I personally run mud terrains on all of my Jeeps just because I like how they look, I like how they perform, they work best for me. But if you guys aren't going to off-road a ton, all-terrains are definitely a good option and they're a lot cheaper. Plus, they last a lot longer, so you won't be replacing tires as often. For example, on my Wrangler, I replace tires basically every year and a half. They're very expensive, and that is a terrible time. On my Grand Cherokee here, like I said earlier in the video, I've got 35-inch Radar Renegade R7s. This Jeep does not really get driven at all on the road, just to go wheeling, just to make content. So these last a very long time. Pretty much any tire on this Jeep is going to last a long time. I think I've put under 500 miles on this Jeep since I've owned it. So this Jeep doesn't really matter. We could get the most expensive tires in the world and they're going to last forever. However, if you daily drive your Grand Cherokee, like I do my Wrangler, tires will be worn a lot quicker. Mud terrains just wear down fast. These wear down pretty quick in their 40s, so they are a pain to swap out. They got beadlocks. It's just a whole situation to get these things swapped out. However, I still run mud terrains because they work best for me. So ultimately, you want to pick the tire that's going to work for your needs and fit what you want to do with your Jeep. Now that you've got the lift kit, you've got the big tires, you're going to go ahead and want to upgrade your steering. It may not seem like a huge thing. It may seem like something you only want to do if you're going off-road. However, I fully recommend getting a very nice steering kit. Now, ironically, my Grand Cherokee actually does not have a steering kit on it. It's got the factory steering, and the reason for it is we're in between a ton of different projects on it, so it just doesn't make sense to spend the money on it right now when it'll be swapped out here in a few months. However, my Wrangler has a new steering kit, so I'll use that as the example because we'll be running the same kit on the Grand Cherokee. So this is my JKU steering, and this is a 2.5-ton aluminum steering kit from RPM. Now, when you're buying a steering kit, there's a lot of things to consider. Firstly, do you want steel or do you want aluminum? In my personal opinion, aluminum is the way to go. When you hit a rock, it'll flex a little bit and then bend back to where it originally was. Steel, if you bend that on a rock, it's staying bent, and you're going to need a new steering kit sometime soon. I've ran aluminum steering on the Wrangler for, I think, 4 years now with no issues, and I know that I've hit it on a ton of rocks because there's scuff marks all along it, but we haven't really had any issues and have not had to replace it. So in my opinion, if you're doing anything on rocks or really off-roading in general, aluminum is the way to go. However, steel is not bad, so if you have steel steering, this is not kind of like a knock on your steering, it's just my opinion. And while we're on the topic of steering, let's go over steering stabilizers. If you have death wobble, that is not what fixed it, that just masked the issue. Realistically, if your Jeep is set up properly, you should not need a steering stabilizer. Now, they do make the ride a little bit more comfortable, but you don't need one to drive the Jeep. My Wrangler didn't have one for years and years and years. However, since I've been driving it a little bit further for events and stuff like that, and to go on wheeling trips like to Tennessee last year, we went ahead, we installed a steering stabilizer. It's a lot more comfortable to drive, but it doesn't need one to drive. Now we're going to go ahead and move to more of a cosmetic, but still pretty functional thing, and we're going to go do lighting. So I like to swap out the headlights and taillights on these Jeeps. They're a bit older, The light output on the stock one sucks, and yes, you could go ahead and just swap the bulbs. However, the lights look kind of outdated, and they have some pretty cool aftermarket lights for these things. So I like to swap them out, and they're pretty cheap. They're, I believe, like $200 for the headlights, $200 for the taillights, or something like that. So it's not like a very expensive thing, and it really upgrades the look of the Jeeps. I'll go ahead and link the ones that I have down below so you guys can check them out, along with the videos of installing them. They are really, really cool in my opinion, and definitely change the look of the Jeep altogether. Just to give you guys a quick overview of the headlights I was talking about, these are the Spider headlights for the Jeep WJ. The white part is a daytime running light, and I think they look really, really cool on this Jeep. Now, we've gone over a lot of important things in this video. However, there's one item that I didn't really know where it fit on this list, and that is drive shafts, because certain Grand Cherokees, depending on the model and the drive shaft it came with stock, are going to need new ones if you go over 4 inches of lift. Now, there's a couple reasons for that, and the stock ones in this Grand Cherokee are absolutely trash. The joints wear out. You can buy replacements, but they're just going to wear out as well. So you might as well swap it. It's a very cheap mod if you can find it at the junkyard. Now that basically wraps up all of my must-have mods for a Jeep Grand Cherokee. There's obviously a lot more that I would do to a Jeep. However, those are the most important in my opinion. If you guys think that I missed anything, go ahead and comment them down below. That way anybody watching this video can check the comments afterwards and see what else other people think are must-haves in their opinion. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.